Hi there. Well, how many of you had to take a biology class in high school? And how many of you hated it? So this is going to be a lot like that. We're going to do, we're going to study some Latin terminology, and we'll have a little test afterwards, and then we're going to dissect some gross stuff. So you'll love it. But so biomimicry, how many of you heard of biomimicry? Oh, this is good. It's going. And how many of you saw Jay Harmon speak 2 years ago? Okay, wasn't he great? Australia, he's a friend of mine. He's funny. But he was a surfer, an Australian surfer. And as a kid, he kept noticing these patterns. He just observed the natural world. And he saw that the waves were spinning all the time. And he even saw the toilet bowl was spinning all the time. And he saw these patterns all around him. You know, he saw that energy didn't travel from point A to point B. It spiraled there. And, you know, he thought about that, and he actually ended up freezing a whirlpool and turning it into this metal structure, which became an impeller, a fan, a propeller, and it's 45% more efficient than the ones we're using today. It's really just from observing nature and mimicking what works. And so we can do this on the product level, but we can also do it on process level and a systems level to achieve the kind of results we want, and specifically, in this case, scaling up. So the idea with biomimicry is that every species that is alive today is a proven winner. These are all survivors that have stood the test of time. All the failures are fossils. What's left in life are the secrets to survival. So all of these are proven winners. And what we know is that they scale up very naturally. And how do they do it, and what can they do for us? These nature's teams, like ants and termites and honeybees, they do it by being more agile, more innovative, getting more engaged, purpose-driven organizations. And so we're going to look at those deep principles and see what we can borrow from that and how we can tap that. So we know when cities double in size, they become more productive and innovative. And the individuals within them do too. But now when we look at a company, as we scale up, our per capita innovation and productivity actually go down. So why is that? Why is that? And what can we do about that? How can we scale up the way cities do? So let's get to the root of the scaling up problem. We are designing our companies like machines. And machines, of course, require expensive maintenance, a lot of leadership, a lot of hands-on work. They require standardized cogs, because when we try to scale up, we think, oh, well, we better standardize everything. Otherwise, it's too hard. And which has traditionally been true. But now we have all these technologies, fantastic technologies. Key is getting from that machine mindset to this living thing mindset, so that we're not just surviving, we're thriving. These are termite mounds in Namibia, where I was last year, and these things are 30 feet high. They're just monstrous structures. And you look at them and you go, how are they doing that? And it's these clever social organizations that they have, and we're going to talk about the deep principles that they have used to achieve the kind of scale up that we would like to see in our organizations. A leafcutter ant city, there could be 10 million different individuals living in this city. And so what these researchers have done is pump 10 tons of concrete into this and dug away 40 tons of earth to see this structure underground, this city underground. And you can see it looks like an intelligent mind has designed this. If you were to scale this up to human size relative to ant size, this would be on the equivalent of the Great Wall of China, wonder of the world. And the miraculous thing about it is that down the road is another one And over there is another one. They're doing it everywhere, all over the world. And they have no management, no administration. Yeah. And their brains are like yay big. And it works. So what can we do? What can we do to get there? And what I think is exciting about it is that we are superorganisms as well. We all have different jobs, different styles, different personalities. You know, we really depend on one another to do the things we want to do. None of us can survive alone. Living things, by contrast, they grow from the bottom up. They compound value from one generation to the next. These termite mounds, they go out and they find these worthless scraps of twigs that nobody else wants. They chew them up, they turn them into a compost. They share it with their fungal gardens underground. No other animal can digest cellulose. So these fungus break it down and enrich the soil, which draws the herbivores. The droppings enrich the soil. That draws the carnivores, and their carcasses enrich the soil. The grass gets softer and richer, and every generation it makes more. And that is scaling up, and that is what we want for our companies. It feeds the entire ecosystem. So how do nature's teams scale up? Let's get to the meat of this thing. Innovation. Hierarchies stop innovation. And there's nothing wrong with hierarchies, but that's what nature uses them for. That's what hierarchies do. In your bodies, apparently, cells are turning cancerous all the time for all of us. And we have this hierarchical immune system that's constantly policing our bodies in a radically decentralized way, looking for these rogue cells and removing them. Stopping change. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's great. There's definitely a role for that. But when conditions are changing all the time and we need to try something new and be on top of the curve, this model is not the model that nature would turn to. Adapting to change is what it's all about. I was going to show you such a lovely video about the slime mold. So, but it turns out that there's a more politically correct term that they prefer to be called, and that's social amoeba. So we're going to call them social amoeba because we don't want to hurt their feelings. But these things are ancient, 600 million years of R&D, and what they do is normally go through the soil when conditions are good, and they do it individually. They're constantly looking for opportunity. But when things get bad, they put out these alarm systems, and they come together and form these slugs that have powers they never had before. So they can do all kinds of things. They're super resilient. You can always go around a problem. They grow without restructuring. They are the masters of scaling up. No meetings, no management, no brains. They live in your air conditioner. Not only that, but if you put these little oak flakes on a map and set them loose, they will design the best roads, the best train lines, and the best infrastructure, better than what we have today, with no brain. Every individual is looking for the best answers. They are linked by a common purpose, and it makes them inherently innovative and flexible, and of course they're all engaged because they care about the same thing, which is the future. So ants, bees, and termites, little friendlier faces in the slime molds. Sorry, social amoeba, sorry. But they have these broad principles, and you know, they have shared purpose, the future. They cultivate diversity. They cultivate experimentation. They believe in autonomy. Every individual is doing whatever they want. Some of them aren't very good at it. It doesn't matter because overall, they get these results, these complex results, which are the same kind of results we'd like to see in our companies. This honeybee waggle dance is fantastic. It's a decision-making process. It's distributed. It taps collective intelligence, swarm creativity. So these bees when they need to find a new home. They all go out in different directions searching. And these are the old grannies. All these bees and ants are female because they only need a few males to mate with. And after they mate with them, they actually gang up on them, sting them to death, and leave them in the rubbish pile. Who needs another mouth to feed? So what they do, they go around and they, these old grannies, they're like, oh, that looks good. And they measure it. Is it dry? Will it hold enough honey? That's one of the 40 S's, cash. The honeybees get it. And then if they like it, they go back to the swarm. They do a little dance that tells all the other bees, it's over there. It's this good. Go check it out. And if it's a vigorous enough dance, it'll convince the other bees to go check it out. And then what happens is you get this competition of ideas on this dance floor where the good idea dances start to increase and amplify, and the poor ones fade away and disappear. And then at some point you cross this threshold, and then the whole swarm flies to the new location. And they always pick the best one because they trust the wisdom of the crowd. So this is a very fundamental, deep principle that all of these superorganisms use to make decisions. And it's something we can easily implement in our own organizations. Engagement. Let's start there. I didn't know what I was going to get when I typed this in, but it was perfect. And my job is done here. But if you look, this is from this recent Gallup poll. 26% of us just hate our jobs. What kind of way is that to live? And how sad is that? And we hate those meetings with those 31 wasted hours. So nature has the solutions for this. I heard someone call it the quit and stay model. Quit and stay. They quit in their mind, but they stay on and pull the paycheck. That's that 26%, and they're not doing anything for you. But engaged employees are very productive, 44% more productive than a satisfied worker. That's pretty good. But inspired employees will knock it out of the ballpark for you. And if you can inspire people and unlock their creative potential, look what you get here. I personally am really on a mission to change the way we work, to unleash our human nature, our natural capacity to innovate and create and change the world. And companies are uniquely positioned to be that vehicle for change that leads to greater systems, richer ecosystems, richer democracies, richer economies. And so what you're doing has a lot more power than you think it does. It's not just about making profits. It's actually about engaging the human spirit, enriching our lives, and making a better world. So what if we worked more like nature's teams? What if we believed our work made a difference in the world? What if we had all the information we needed and worked with the people we like? And all of them are things that just feel natural to us. We just like working this way. It's not rocket science. Freedom and purpose, we know from research, are our greatest motivations in the world. And if you can tap that, if you can let people make something of lasting significance, and you can let them do it their way, and you can cultivate that bottom-up connectivity where we find people that share our values and our passions and cultivate these networks around that, you'll find that people unleashed can do anything. I want to give you one last example of company here that they didn't intend to be a biomimicry company, but they've implemented a lot of these things by accident, and the results have been phenomenal. So this is an Indian software company, and in 2007 they were suffering from rampant disengagement. It was basically a whole organization of quit and stay. Everybody had kind of checked out, but kept on picking up the paycheck. So this CEO, Vineet Nayar, came in, and he turned this company around like nobody's business. I mean, the numbers are astonishing. And how did he do it? Well, he started up by focusing on bottom-up connectivity. So he started this active intranet, which in 2007 was ahead of the time. So anything you're passionate about, connect around that. Let's just go chat, go see what you want to make. And so it started to form that people were like, wow, we could do this, we could do that. Completely self-initiative, and created a real sea change in the culture of the organization. He started brainstorm sites where anyone could ask a question and anyone could answer it, and they would vote these ideas up, tap those people to run these initiatives. So what was happening before is that the most creative people were checking out because they saw that their ideas never went anywhere. Why bother? Once they started this, they were suddenly visible, and he tapped them for all kinds of initiatives, and they even started putting the value into these virtual innovation banks where people could see the value of their innovations, and others could too. So peer recognition, and they did some other things to form that mutual accountability culture. So, and it all starts with culture. Culture starts at the top. You guys are at the top, so this is on you. Bye. No. So everyone in this room, I look at you as the doers that are gonna implement this. So you want to build a culture that's inspired by change, that thrives on change, isn't afraid of it, it just looks for it. And you want to tap our natural human nature for solving problems and innovating, initiative, all these things. Can we implement some of these steps to try to make your organization scale up nature's way in ways that are really natural to us, that unlock our human creativity and freedom, and build into systems that feed back to us? I mean, you guys are in a position to change the world. It's the way we like to work. It's the way we work best. It's supernatural for us, and we can do it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.